All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Access California quarterly training webinar. It's good to have you guys all here this morning on this sunny Tuesday morning. Hopefully it's sunny and nice wherever you are right now. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Looks like we've got a great group here. I'm seeing a lot of names, familiar names of some regulars, so welcome back. And also some new names here. So if this is your first time on an Access California webinar. Welcome, and we're really glad to have you here today. For this training today, we're really excited to welcome a special guest from Peer Recovery Services, Thomas Beam and Rosie Diaz. Peer Recovery Services is a longtime friend of our agency and access program, and we're just really grateful for the work that they do in their community, as well as their partnership with Access California. Their mission statement, their peer recovery services offers peer support and mental health education for their community to promote wellness and recovery and reduce stigma. Thomas Beam is a certified medical peer support specialist with a justice impacted specialization and a certified community health worker who has spent 3 years growing at PRS from intern to recovery coach, lead recovery coach, and community engagement specialist. He utilizes his expertise in grant writing, facilitator training, community outreach, and advocacy training to champion meaningful systemic change. And Rosie Diaz, as a certified Medi-Cal peer support specialist with 3 years of experience at PRS, spanning from intern to recovery coach and lead recovery coach. Rosie oversees 9 recovery coaches and manages day-to-day operations at the Stockness Wellness Center. She specializes in facilitator training and peer-led advocacy to empower both her team and the community. And together, the two of them just form an incredible duo. We've known them for a few years, and every time they get together, they're just a wealth of information and expertise and are doing incredible work in their community. So we're really grateful to have them both with us today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The training is scheduled for 2 hours. It'll be a 90-minute presentation followed by 30 minutes of Q&A. The training is being recorded and it will be made public on our YouTube channel in about a week or two's time. So just keep that in mind. If you're ever sharing anything, just know that it will be public. If you would like to speak at any point, you can raise your hand and then at the appropriate time, we'll unmute you. Or if you want to add comments to the chat box, you are welcome to do that at any point. And then we'll get to them at an appropriate time. We're also going to launch a demographic poll at the beginning of this presentation just to find out who you are and where you're coming from. So if you could fill that out, that would be super helpful for us. And then just a couple quick ground rules here. We encourage you to practice self-care. So if you need to step up, walk away for a second, get some water, that's totally fine. You're welcome to do that. Assume good intent in one another. Focus on the issues and the facts at hand rather than individuals. Look for areas of alignment. We come from lots of different backgrounds and may disagree on things, but we want to look for areas where we are in agreement. And then if we do disagree, to do so respectfully and to offer solutions when possible. And then just keep questions and comments brief. We do really want to hear from you, but we also want to keep in mind that we have a large group here today. And so just to be mindful of that as you're sharing. If you have other ground rules you'd like to add, you can do that in the chat at this time. Also, if you just want to pop in the chat and say hi, you're welcome to do that as well. With that, I'm going to launch the poll and pass it over to Thomas and Rosie.
Did I bring up the wrong screen?
Looks perfect.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, looks great. Whenever you're ready.
okay. Welcome everyone to Your Neighborhood, Your Voice, a blueprint for local level advocacy. My name is Thomas Beam, as Dustin said, and I am joined by my co-presenter, Rosie Diaz. And over the next 90 minutes, it'll actually be probably a little less than that. Rosie and I are going to walk you through a practical framework for driving real lasting change right here in our local community. Whether you're a CEO, a manager, a peer support specialist, a behavioral health consumer, or an advocate working on the front lines, this session is designed to give you concrete tools to make your voice heard.
Thank you, Thomas, for that introduction. As Thomas mentioned, whether you are leading a community-based organization from the executive suite, supervising frontline teams, or working directly in the field of a peer specialist, your perspective is vital. And today we're going to explore how to translate that frontline experience into tangible local action, moving past barriers and driving real structural change across our communities in California. So let's get started. Um, okay, so first let's take a look at our objectives for today. Um, we aren't just talking theory, we are focusing on local action. And by the end of this 90 minutes, you will understand how local government actually operates, how to structure your personal experiences into a compelling narrative using the problem impact solution model, and how our local programs, like the Power and Support Team and the Member Advisory Committee, are actively shifting local policy.
That's right, Rosie. Our goal today is to bridge the gap between what our communities urgently need and the local decision makers who hold the keys to public resources. Whether you're looking to influence county budgets, city ordinances, or agency priorities, this session will give you the practical step-by-step framework to make your organization's voice undeniable. So let's look closer on how we get there. To understand our work, we have to ground ourselves in a clear definition. Drawings from Dr. Charles Drebbing's foundational book, Advocating for Others, a pocket resource for peer specialists and counselors. To advocate is to recommend, support, plead for, argue for, or bring pressure to bear in support of a cause. Systemic improvements never happen by accident. They happen because someone, usually someone with direct lived experience or frontline perspective, notices a gap and refuses to let it go. That's the exact role of a peer specialist and the community advocate.
That foundation is critical when we look at the daily reality in our community-based organizations across California. Improvements in public systems rarely happen unless someone recognizes the need and pushes for them. Because our lived experience and frontline perspectives, peers and counselors are uniquely positioned to identify those system gaps and champion solutions. We don't just wait for change to happen, we help drive it.
Amen to that.
Uh, so it's important to understand that how we advocate matters just as much as what we advocate for, right? And here we'll see that Drebbing highlights that an advocate stance must be rooted in recovery values. We must hold hope that both our clients and our systems can improve. We must practice absolute honesty to build long-term trust, care, carry a sense of responsibility, show deep respect for everyone at the table, even those that we disagree with, and maintain realism and patience, because real community change is a marathon, not a sprint.
When we examine Dr. Drebin's framework, we realize that having a noble cause isn't enough. The manner in which we advocate defines our success. If we approach local government with hostility, entitlement, or impatience, we undermine our entire mission. By anchoring ourselves in recovery values, hope, honesty, responsibility, respect, realism, and patience, we model the kind of collaborative, constructive behavior that decision makers respect and respond. And I think when we look at that, that last value, patience, is so important. Our power and support team was developed in 2005. And probably a year after that, they decided that one of the causes they wanted to take up was to put a crosswalk on California Street. California Street is the street that Behavioral Health Services is on because it was at that time it was a four-lane street and it was very busy and people just weren't stopping for pedestrians. But it took from like 2006 till 2024 before that crosswalk was actually installed. And it continued needing that patience and that drive for that team. And bear in mind, it wasn't the same people on that team during those 20 years. It was several different people that joined during that process that kept that advocacy alive. So when it talks about patience, I think that's probably one of the most important things that we have to look at when we're talking about advocacy.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing that we should look at is some of the traps to avoid. Have you ever seen the flamethrower? That's someone who brings raw, unguided anger to a meeting, burning the exact professional bridges they will need next week. I don't know if you follow YouTube, but YouTube has a lot of those uh, reels that show people in front of school boards and meeting with committees and stuff like that. And there's this one particular guy. His name is Jerry Falwell, and if you go and look at his reels, you'll see every time he's a big First Amendment advocate, and he pushes a lot for uh, control of the police department and stuff like that. But every time he gets up to that podium, he is angry and he is demanding and he is vulgar. He uses cuss words and he blames, he calls the councilmen or the police officers by name and saying they're pieces of you know what. Anyway, the point is, how do you think those people look at him and his cause? They're not looking at it by saying this guy is reasonable. They're looking at it by this is just an angry person who's just coming up here and venting. And that's what the flamethrower does. Then there's that short-sighted advocate, treat local government like a battlefield where someone has to win and someone has to lose. But advocacy is collaborative problem solving, not a sports match. It shouldn't be a win-lose situation. It should be a win-win. And finally, and this is a big one also, avoid being a long-distance advocate who hides behind a screen sending endless emails without ever showing up face to face to shake a hand.
Mhm. Thank you, Thomas. Those were all really great examples. And those YouTube reels, they actually do show great examples of what not to do when you're going to try to advocate for something. So thank you for those examples. Um, so yeah, those three pitfalls, the flamethrower, the short-sighted advocate, and the long-distance advocate are the quickest ways to stall any progress we want to make for our community. When we avoid unguided anger, drop the winner loser mentality and step out from behind our computer screens to build genuine face-to-face relationships, we transform ourselves from frustrated complainers into trusted, highly effective community leaders. When we pivot to local level advocacy, we have to understand the layout of local government. Whether you are dealing with city councils passing local municipal laws, county boards of supervisors, managing public health funding for local behavioral health commissions, you need to know who holds the levers of power. Crucially, you must distinguish between legislative officials, the elected leaders who pass budgets and make policy, and operational leaders like county behavioral health directors or city managers who manage day-to-day execution. Your target depends entirely on what kind of change you are asking for.
And that distinction is everything, Rosie. If you're lobbying for a new line item in the county budget or a local municipal ordinance, your target is the legislative body. But if your goal is shifting how a local clinic operates on the ground or how services are delivered day to day, you need to bring your case directly to operational leaders like department directors. Knowing who holds the authority ensures we never waste our energy knocking on the wrong door. And preparation is your greatest weapon. Before you ever attend a public meeting or write a proposal, do your homework. Pull public meeting agendas. Look at past budget documents and read existing program guidelines. As Debbie notes, an effective advocate should strive to know the background of an issue better than the official they are trying to persuade. When you walk in armed with facts, policies, and clear history, you command the immediate respect.
So that level of preparation completely changes the dynamic of the conversation. When we do our homework, review past board decisions, and master the program guidelines ahead of time, we shift from being viewed as ordinary petitioners to being treated as credible expert partners. Officials notice when you understand their constraints and history, and that respect is what opens the door to real collaboration. Okay, so next, let's look at a real world model we have built right here, our power and support team. This is a group we've trained intensively, not just to advocate for others, but to also advocate for themselves. Every month, the members of our team attend the San Joaquin County Behavioral Health Advisory Board meetings. They step up to the podium, deliver powerful public comment, and ensure consumer voices are heard in informal county spaces. Beyond advisory boards, we integrate this presence into behavioral health outreaches across the county, showing that peer presence belongs everywhere community decisions are made.
And what makes the power and support team model so impactful is watching that transformation happen in real time. When a member of our team consistently attends the San Joaquin County Behavioral Health Advisory Board meeting each month and delivers a public comment at every single meeting, they build incredible visibility and confidence. In fact, let me tell you about one of our members. This member was, well, he was very excited about going to these board meetings. And we, like we were saying, we've been training them on how to give public comments. So he was going every month. He gave his public comments every month, and they were valuable ones. that actually created the board to put him on the agenda at a couple of ones. And then when a position opened up on the board, he applied for that position, and now he was approved and now sits on the BHS Behavioral Advisory Board. So he went from being homeless to finding a place to live to taking care of himself to learning how to advocate for himself and for others to now sits on a board who has the power to become closer to the BHS uh, folks that he was trying to change. And I just want to say on our BHS advisory board here, the director of BHS is there every month as well. So he's not just talking to various members of the board, he's also talking to one of the main decision makers of BHS. And in addition to external public boards, PRS proudly sponsors a member advisory committee. This is a dedicated space where behavioral health services consumers meet twice a month right at BHS. They come together to discuss what is working in their care and, more importantly, where the service gaps are. What makes the MAC so successful is that several BHF staff members regularly attend these meetings. It creates an immediate two-way dialogue where consumers and agency staff sit shoulder to shoulder to solve problems collaboratively.
And that shoulder to shoulder collaboration changes everything. When agency staff regularly attend the member advisory committee meetings, it stops being about us versus them and becomes a true partnership. Consumers aren't just talking about service gaps into a void, they are working directly with the people who have the administrative power to implement fixes sooner rather than later. Advocacy is never a solo sport. It relies entirely on networks. You need to map out your key players, both inside your agency and across the broader community. Build a history of cooperation before you need to ask for a major favor. When you partner with local community groups, advocacy organizations, and advisory bodies, you transform isolated complaints into a unified, undeniable coalition.
That is so true, Rosie. Building that coalition ahead of time means that when an urgent issue arises, you aren't standing alone trying to catch a decision maker's attention. You walk into the room backed by a broad network of aligned community partners, and that collective voice is virtually impossible for local government to ignore. One of the reasons that I like some of the deliverables. Well, I don't mind any of the deliverables that we have with our contract or our contract with Cal Voices. Is that there's a lot of local networking events that we can actually get paid for. But even without being paid, going to those outreaches and building relationships with each of the agencies that's there and talking to them, that's what building your coalition. And when you go and you build a relationship with BHS or whoever you're trying to uh, advocate to, becoming a partner instead of an adversary is so important.
Mhm.
When you get the floor at a public meeting, data matters, but stories move people. Local decision makers are human beings. They are deeply influenced by authentic, lived experiences. The magic happens when you bridge hard data with a compelling human narrative. Can you state your entire case in a powerful 1 minute elevator pitch? If not, you might need to tighten your message a little bit.
Mhm. Thomas is completely right. We can have all the spreadsheets and statistics in the world. But if we don't connect those numbers to a real human experience, it won't move decision makers to action. So practicing that 1 minute elevator pitch ensures we cut through the noise and deliver a narrative that is both emotionally resonant and impossible to forget.
Let me give you an example of that. About 3 months ago, when I took a group of members with me and I attended the Behavioral Health Advisory Board meeting. And we all signed up, well, most of us signed up to give public comments. I was the first to give mine, and my public comment was about with the funding cuts that we received and the new contract that we have with BHS, uh, requires us to stop. We had to start letting only the people that were registered with BHS into our BHS groups. So we were unable to serve about 40% of the people that we normally serve because we were a walking low barrier clinic. People could just come in and go to groups whenever they want to. So when I went up and talked, I told them, what about these people, these underserved population that no longer can be served? What about them? What are we going to do about being able to let them have the same groups? Because those groups affect their social determinants of health as well as the people who belong to BHS. So my ask is that they put a little bit more effort into finding ways that we can fund that kind of a process. But that was just me talking as an employee of PRS trying to get BHS uh, to open up some more funding somewhere. But then the next three people that got up told their story about how coming to the wellness center improved their lives, about where they were uh, before they started coming to the wellness center, how the wellness center affected them, and where they are today because of the wellness center. And that the fact that they won't be able to go to groups at the wellness center anymore for that same process, that that opened up the board's eyes. As a matter of fact, that's when we got a call. I got a call the next day asking for those three people's contact number so that they can be talked, so the board can talk to them and put them on the agenda for the following week. It was that story that uh, opened up that message.
Okay, next. So to keep your storytelling sharp, use Debring's problem impact solution framework. First, state the problem clearly and without jargon in one sentence. I am concerned about this issue because of this reason. Second, describe the impact. Who was hurt by this gap and what does it look like in real life? Third, deliver your solution, the exact actionable ask you want the board or official to commit to.
Let's look at a hypothetical example of how this works in practice. For our problem, we might point out a lack of diverse, accessible peer support options within local behavioral health services. For the impact, we explain that consumers are dropping out of care because traditional settings don't always meet their diverse recovery needs, leading to isolation and poor health outcomes. And for our solution, our specific ask is to request that behavioral health leadership authorize a 3-month pilot program bringing peer-led support groups directly into local community centers. By grounding our narrative in this 3-step framework, you give decision makers a clear, logical path to say yes. When officials push back against your proposal, remember 2 golden rules of persuasion. First, always look for win-win solutions. where the agency or board can see institutional value in making the change. Second, roll with resistance. If an official objects, don't get defensive. Use their objection as a doorway to further explore the problem together. Deliver your points with calm, unwavering confidence and respect.
That mindset is so powerful, Thomas. When we roll with resistance instead of fighting back, we completely disarm the tension in the room by treating an official's pushback not as a wall, but as a roadmap of their concerns. We can shape our solutions to meet their needs while still fiercely championing our community's voice. So keep this quick reference checklist handy before any public appearance. Keep your remarks under 3 minutes. Be hyper-specific. Cite exact agenda item numbers or department titles. Treat staff and board members as future partners, not as enemies. And always leave your name and contact info so they know you are a verified local constituent.
That checklist is your safety net when you set up the podium. Step up to the podium, not set it up. Sticking strictly to that 3-minute limit, naming exact agenda items if you're talking about something on the agenda, treating everyone as an ally, and leaving your contact info ensures your voice carries. That was one of the mistakes I made because I didn't have the members at that meeting leave their contact info. So they had to contact me, and then I had to contact them for permission. And it was it just took a little bit longer for them to get onto it. But when you do that, your voice carries maximum professional weight. When you follow these steps, you show local leaders that you are organized, respectful, and fully invested in constructive solutions. Here's how that plug and play template sounds when it's fully filled out and brought to life. Listen closely to this structure. My name is Thomas Beam, and I am a representative of Peer Recovery Services. I'm speaking today regarding the critical need for expanded on-site peer support groups and local outpatient clinics. This impacts our community and clients by leaving individuals isolated during early recovery, leading to higher rates of disengagement from care. To address this, I'm asking that you authorize a 3-month pilot program bringing peer-led groups directly into our behavioral health facilities. So you notice how clean, specific, and impossible to misunderstand that is?
That specific structure is what turns a good intention into a concrete demand. When you stand up at a public meeting and lay out your organization, your specific issue, the impact on your clients, and your exact ask, you leave no room for ambiguity. It provides local decision makers with a direct, unambiguous pathway to take action.
Now, I know that most of you already know this because Cal Voices a year or two ago passed out a piece of paper that talked about advocacy and setting up these guidelines. But sometimes it's not bad to revisit the basics.
Knowledge without institutional action is just entertainment. As leaders, supervisors, and staff of community-based organizations, our impact multiplies when we act as a unified front rather than isolated individuals. Over the next 30 days, we want your organization to build a collective advocacy action plan.
Well, now that's not a demand, of course. We want you guys we just hope that Well, that you take some of these ideas that we're presenting, and these are not our own brainstorm that we came out of our own heads that we made up. These are things that we've learned through experience, through reading Dr. Drebbing's book and teaching it to our members, and that maybe it's something that you might want to do uh, to build up your advocacy plan. One of the things, especially with the funding cuts that we've been receiving and stuff like that, building a better relationship with those who do the funding is important. And not just with those who do the funding, but those who, if you're in doing any grant writing, uh, a lot of the grants that are out there today are asking for you to have relationships with certain organizations and things like that. So it's important to have that stuff already in your toolbox. Pick your target policy, decision, or upcoming board hearing. Draft your core message using your three-step framework so that your leadership, frontline workers, and peers are all telling the exact same story. And finally, mobilize your internal teams and external community partners to coordinate your strategy before you step into that room. Let's turn our organizational strength into systemic change. As you build out your organizational plans, keep these key resource categories in mind. Utilize local public meeting directories to stay informed. Rely on structured communication templates to keep your messaging sharp. And lean into established consumer councils and peer networks for continuous guidance and mentorship as your team grows.
Those resources are the building blocks that keep our advocacy efforts sustainable over the long haul. By leveraging those public meeting directories, sticking to our communication tools, and leaning on mentorship from established consumer networks, we ensure that our frontline staff and peers never have to reinvent the wheel. We can build lasting structured momentum together.
I want to say at this point that Rosie and I are not professionals at doing training webinars and or writing them, so we've done the best that we can. Um, it looks like we're about 45 minutes early before this webinar is over, but as Rosie,
As as Thomas was saying, as Mahatma Gandhi famously said, you must be the change you wish to see. Local advocacy starts when ordinary people decide their neighborhoods are worth fighting for.
but we do, even though we're not professionals, we still want to thank you all so much for your time, your dedication. Uh, and now we're moving into our 90-minute question and answer session. So please drop your questions in the chat or raise your hand, and Rosie and I will be happy to try and answer them. No questions?
It looks like Mary Jo has her hand raised. Actually, a couple people do. Lucianne as well. I think Mary Jo's hand was up first.
You're muted, Mary Jo.
You did.
Okay, now you can hear me. Thomas, I love what you're doing. And we are in San Diego, kind of in our infancy. We have created a group we're calling San Diego Peers. And we have been doing advocacy very much so through the IP process in San Diego. Um, One of the things that we're wanting to get Well, first of all, I have put together a an advocacy training that I would like to send to you guys to look at and give me some input on.
Mhm.
If that's okay with you, I'd love to send it. But where we're at now is how do we expand this? How do we get the hook? What we have done is started a group we're calling Peers in the Park and starting to get people out into the community in a social kind of thing. I have gotten a commitment from our mental health director to meet with us, but we need to grow the network. Last time we've got five that are core. We had eight at the last meeting. We're looking at a luncheon in October for World Mental Health Day. And we're going to do voter registration. We're going to do San Diego Piers, hopefully the history of the movement. So those are kinds of the things where we're at. And I'm excited about what you're doing and really want to network with you guys in growing San Diego Piers.
Great. First of all, to answer your question, of course, you can send it and
Yeah.
we'll take a look at it and provide any feedback or maybe even learn from it and be able to apply some of it to our program. When Rosie and I first took over the parent support team 2 years ago or somewhere around there,
Mhm.
um, we started off by doing what we called lunch and learns. And we would go around, we'd invite all the members, and we would go around to all the community-based organizations and invite them. And what we did with these lunch and learns is that we took uh, our members and we did a PowerPoint presentation that talked about the Wellness Center, how it grew, how the uh, how the Power and Support team grew, and we talked about and so we developed this PowerPoint presentation. But Rosie and I did not do the PowerPoint presentation. The members actually did each slide, each of the PowerPoint presentation, and they was able to tell their story during that process. That first one that we did, that increased the amount of people that started going to the PowerPoint, or not the PowerPoint, to the Power and Support team, increased our enrollment. Right now, we have about 15 members of the Power and Support team. And it is an actually team. It's not one of the support groups that we do here. It's an actually advocacy team. And it increased, we started doing collaborations with other community-based organizations doing these lunch and learns. And it's worked out pretty well. So,
When
uh,
you say lunch and learn, what do you mean? You serve lunch or you go to lunch or and where do you do these? You do these
yeah.
at the programs or
No, we serve the lunch. We cater it in, not cater, however we do luncheon. But it'll be pizza or sandwiches or something like that. And we invite everybody. The last one we had was at one of the BHS conference rooms. We have access to those rooms when we need a little bit bigger space. And like I said, when people come in, there's a PowerPoint presentation that the members give to the group and questions are asked, and then they're able to tell their stories. We normally have two or three people that tell their stories about where they where they've come from and how they got there and that sort of thing. And then we've actually had members from the audience give up and give us some of their testimonies. So it's something that helped grow. We normally have the outreach team from BHS is normally there, and then like I said, there's several other folks that stop by and join. The whole purpose of it was for us to build a coalition amongst the CBOs. But we also wanted the members involved in it because one of the things about teaching them how to do a slide presentation is teaching them how to communicate because many of our members are new at trying to talk in front of people. And that was one of the important parts. Before we started training them on doing public comments, we wanted to get them comfortable on speaking in front of people.
Thomas, are you familiar with the NAMI Smarts program?
I am not. I am familiar
Okay,
with
NAMI has a program called SMART, which is advocacy training. And basically, they teach you how to do the elevator pitch that you're looking at here. And then they also do policy making. So that's kind of where my vision is to have people that have taken that training come into the advocacy so that they can use those skills. They learn the skills, but we don't have the voices to use. So that's where I'm at. And we have our meeting this afternoon. So,
Okay.
Thomas,
Thank you.
thank you. And I will be in touch.
Okay. Thank you very much. Uh, Lucienne?
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you for this webinar. I have to say that it was a webinar that I didn't even know that I needed, but I totally do. And it's right where I'm at with our organization. My name is Lucy Latu. Use pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm with Alama for Tongans, a community-based organization serving the Pacific Islander community here in San Mateo County. And my question was with regards to, I understand the whole coalition building, but what if, well, what I'm struggling with is the capacities and the bandwidths of many of our CBOs, as I'm sure you guys are aware, are stretched very thin. And there's a lot of gaps, of course, in many systems. And my question is, how would I, or how does my organization build like the coalition in the back regarding like issues? Because it takes, someone to identify a gap or an issue and then to pull strength behind it or power behind it. But again, I'm faced with everyone has very limited capacities and bandwidth. And I know that we wish that we could address everything that's wrong with systems that we operate under, but um, yeah. How would you do that?
Well, okay, first of all, you got to understand that you're not going to be able to solve everybody's problems. We're not going to be able to fill all the gaps. We can try, but focus is very important. So my suggestion is to pick one, work on that one. Like I talked about the crosswalk, it took 20 years for that crosswalk to go. So whenever you feel overwhelmed or you have you see too many gaps that you want to fill, and we all want that because that's why we're in this business, right? We want to fill those gaps, but we need to take them one at a time and do the best that we can. Everybody is busy. I understand that, but a little bit of talking and advocacy, uh, it's just a matter of setting priorities. I'm not quite sure if I answered your question. I'm not sure there is an answer to it, other than just doing things one step at a time, one gap at a time, trying to fill that gap with which one's the most important, and to continue training other people to help you do that work. Mainly members. The member stories are what makes changes work. It's not what we say as mental health professionals. It's what the members say because that's who they're listening to. That's who the stories are from. So train more members.
Thank you, Thomas. I think you're right. There isn't really an answer to the question because, again, it's not that I'm not focusing on one. It's just that everyone else has 5 million things on their plates. But I get what you're saying. And I think your quote from Mahatma Gandhi is really staring at me in my face and saying, like, to be the change I want to see. And so sometimes that is going to have to be where I have to lead by example and, you know, and hope that other people see the problem with me eventually.
Well, eventually with your advocacy, they will see the problem. Just got to display a little patience. Ariane, did I pronounce that right? You muted.
Yes, you pronounce it correct.
Okay.
Yes, my question is related to referrals. Uh, yeah, just asking, do you have any referrals for peers organizations in Sacramento, the city of Sacramento or Sacramento County, besides the NAMI Sacramento, which I am already affiliated with? And you spoke of using the BHS rooms for meetings. Um, uh, just how can I access such public rooms to hold meetings in this fashion to engage with the community?
Well, I, we have been under contract with BHS for over 10 years.
Oh,
So and now this new contract, we're actually contracted employees of BHS. So I think that's what gives us access to those conference rooms. Uh, otherwise I can't really answer that question. I've never really tried to get a public place. Do you have an issue, a location that you're having meetings or groups right now?
not right now, but there is one where NAMI holds meetings, which is the county, Sacramento County Health, Behavior Health or Mental Health um, Department, where their building is, but NAMI has the access.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know who I would talk to about that?
hmm.
Cowboys.
Oh,
They're
okay.
from I'm from Stockton. I
Mhm.
might be able to help you in places down here, including our location. But Cowboys are pretty knowledgeable.
Oh, like this,
Like
right?
Jocelyn said, they've been around a long time.
Mhm. Right.
So they have a lot of resources up there.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
And also, I don't know if you've tried looking into community centers in your area. Sometimes they have rooms available for nonprofit organizations, and they provide them at maybe like a discounted rate, or they're willing to work with you on pricing or whatever things like that.
Mhm.
So that's also an option if you're looking for somewhere to have your meetings and things like that. Community centers.
Right. Thank you.
Senior, senior centers as
In your
well.
centers, right? Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Mary Jo, you're muted again.
Yeah. Thomas, how are you funded? Because we're about to do a nonprofit, but how are you guys funded? Where do you get your funding from, or any suggestions on where we might go?
Well, we're grant funded currently. We're under contract with BHS. We have uh, we have submitted. We are currently actively seeking grants. I think I've submitted 6 grants in the last 2 months. I think we're getting ready to be awarded one of those grants. So that also helps funding. One of the other things that we are working on with our parent support team is I've got them in the process of doing video testimonies that we're going to use for fundraising. And I've got them working on figuring out how ways of fundraising. Advocacy sometimes is more than words because in order to be able to present those words, you need to have the money to support them. And so that's one of the reasons why we're trying to help them learn how to fundraise for needs is that they need to cover. So that's how we're funded currently.
Thanks, Thomas.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Where's Jocelyn?
I'm right here. So I was just giving a few minutes to see if anybody was
I thought
formulating
we
questions in
were,
their mind or typing out questions.
but they left us
Um,
alone.
just giving people time to think. But yeah, if there aren't any other questions. I think we can wrap it up and we'll have this on YouTube for you guys. So if you want to listen again, if you have people that missed this training that you'd like to have access to the training, you're welcome to. Oh, we do have a question. One just went in the chat from Jen. How do you find the gaps?
Oh, well, we don't find them. The members do. When they come in and they share with us in group or whenever we're doing one-on-one coaching, they tell us different problems that are going on. And most of the members that are part of the power support team, they've been in the BHS system for a while and they've experienced certain experiences. That's mainly how we find the gaps. But we all know that with the funding issues that we have, when people are getting out of treatment centers or out of county jail or on parole or probation, a lot of the treatment is is dropped because we depend on the BHS depends on them, the member making a decision to go. What we try and do is we try and hit those leaky, what we call leakage points, which is where the gap is, to be able to pull people who might need some help. Part of the VA grant that hopefully that we get, we'll have a mobile team that does nothing but go around to encampments and things like that, looking for veterans who need help. And we'll give them the grant's all about suicide prevention, and we focus on social determinants of health. So what we want to do is go around and uh, have relationships with the veteran treatment center, the housing, the shelters, and things like that, and do assessments on vets, get them involved in the VA, get them down for benefits and stuff like that. So it's a matter of us going out and looking and trying to find them instead of depending on them to come to us. We don't operate on a referral basis here. This is a voluntary walk-in clinic or walk-in clinics. We do, with the new contract, we do go out to BHS locations and do groups, but we're still building, trying to service those who still need us, who aren't part of BHS or part of specialty mental health. You know, the situation with uh, us not being able to serve as peer support specialists and get Medi-Cal paid for people who with mild and moderate mental issues is is what the problem is. That's one of the major gaps that we have, and I think that needs to be looked at. Does that answer the question? Go ahead, Rosie.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that a little bit. One of the things that we've done here at the Wellness Center, and one of the things that our member advisory council has talked about doing is focus groups for the members, and we have our members come to the focus group, and that's one way that we can find out what the gaps are and what the barriers are that our members are facing, challenges and things like that. So um, I think that's one of the ways that you can find gaps.
And that's a good point, Rosie, because when we already do the focus groups here at least once a year, but I think we try and do them twice. But that's how we determine what our programming is going to be. We ask them what they want, what kind of groups that they want, and that's how we determine our calendar every year on how we're going to serve our clients. So focus groups are very important when we're looking for gaps. Who's next?
Looks like Mary Jo.
Yeah, Mary Jo, I think had her hand up first.
Yeah, I forgot oh, you're talking about focus groups. How Oh, wait. Now I got my question. Thank you. My brain came back to life. Um, we are in the process of putting together a survey that we want to put out to folks, and you have any suggestions on what kinds of questions we should put into our survey?
Well, the best we could do, I don't have them off the top of my head. We do surveys twice a year, Rosie.
Yes.
Yeah, we
No.
usually, yeah, twice a
Yeah.
year.
Twice a year.
Uh, we'd be happy to send you a copy of the survey that we use.
That would be awesome.
Mhm.
Give us a starting point. You guys are, I live my life by divine intervention, and you guys today are divine intervention. You just fall right into taking us to our next step. So thank you. This has just been awesome. And I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, we'd be happy to provide you with some of the questions that we put on our surveys.
Yeah, and you put your contact information in the chat, please.
Yeah, we also, our contact information is on that shared contact list that is on,
Yeah, I have that.
yeah, we're on there. So if
I
anybody
had
wants to get in
asked,
touch with us, you can,
yeah, I had asked Jocelyn to send it out again because I didn't seem to get it.
yeah.
Jocelyn,
I
could you
can
send it out again?
I can send that to you, Mary Jo. Yep, no problem.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ariane. Ariane?
Arian, like Marian without the M.
Oh, Arian.
Arian, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, you touched some on an issue that I've been asking myself. I became a medical peer support specialist, certified medical peer support specialist last year, and been trying to get into this field. So I became training. I'm training now to become a volunteer at NAMI. Now, my question is, uh, right now I'm working as a caregiver for IHSS, in-home support service for the county of Sacramento. So we have clients and they're assigned to us, they come to us, and we'll go to them and we'll help them with whatever their needs are. And I'm thinking, as medical, is there something, or is there a way or anything on those lines as medical itself paying directly to peer support specialists, certified peer support specialists, for services to the community? So you establish a service and you help them, and you do peer support, counseling, support and help, guidance. And is there a way to get paid through medical directly? Is such a thing?
Well, let me address that this way. One of the requirements of going through Medi-Cal is before you can bill Medi-Cal, you have to have a treatment plan. And as a peer support specialist, you're not qualified to develop a treatment plan. You have to have a clinician that has the treatment plan. And normally that process, if you don't hire one, you got or hire one full time, you got to go through a company that provides that service. And they're the ones that build Medi-Cal. It wouldn't be you directly. So at this point, the answer is as far as I know, and when we were in the process of developing our CHW program, I looked into this pretty extensively. Uh, there's just without having a clinician on hand, you can't go to do medical specific directly.
Right. Mhm. Yeah, I figured that one out too.
Yeah,
Just just wondering if that would be something coming out. So the person's working with a clinician and they come to us and ask for the peer support, and we go and work with them as per clinician referral.
right. And and they have to be part of the specialty mental health program at BHS. Anybody, which means that they got to have the severe mental illness or issues. To do the mild to moderate, they need to go to managed care plans, and managed care plans cannot bill for peer support services. That's why we have CHWs on that side. Though that's one of our advocacy things with the new governor is to get Medi-Cal peer support specialists on both sides of that fence.
There is a gap right there, so there's a place for us to work.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you.
Cal Voices is working very hard on that, and we fully support them.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Any more questions? Well, thank you so much, Thomas and Rosie. That was an incredible presentation. I know we have people here that are super familiar with advocacy and people that are just starting out. And that information I think was super valuable for all of us, no matter where we are on that spectrum. So thank you again for providing that, and just for being willing to share all of your expertise with us today.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We appreciate it too, no matter how nervous or anxious we were when we started.
You did great.
Fantastic.
You
Rosie,
did great, Thomas. And
Rosie told me never to volunteer her for anything.
I'm saying that.
Well, that's the real part of advocacy, right? It can be
But that's
there's
how you
aspects of it that are
grow.
nerve-wracking, and you get through it and you push forward and you do it.
That's
You
right.
have to move out of your comfort zone to grow.
That's true.
Right.
And Thomas,
So you moved,
great.
you've had a little bit of growth right about now.
Yeah. Thomas is great at helping me
Yeah.
grow.
But you guys are good.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. See you all in the next webinar.
All right.
Are we? Okay.